Hey guys, welcome back. It's Friday once again.
Hey, it's Friday.
Yep.
It's Friday.
Boy, and I am so happy that it's Friday. It
Yes.
feels good.
Yes. Woo!
So, once again, we want to say thank you and welcome. We're just going to sit here for about 15, 20 minutes.
So
and-
we are back to our regular schedule program because usually it's only 15 to 20 minutes,
Yes.
30 at the most.
Right.
But for the past,
But if you have a lot of comments and the conversation gets to going, then yes, then we probably will continue.
so
But
we
either way.
enjoy that.
Yes.
But we have so enjoyed our ministers over the month of March. So
Yes.
it was ministry. The
Marriage
month of
and
March
ministry.
was for marriage and ministry.
Yes.
And so we kicked it off with we had actually proceeding into March, we had the Reverend Marisha, and then we had Reverend Derek B. Wells,
Yep.
and then after
Reverend
that,
Sherry.
and then we had Reverend Jackie, and of course their significant others if they were married. So now that March is over and we're into April, my birthday month.
All right.
Shoo,
That means you
shout
gotta
out to all the
celebrate
April.
all month
That's
long.
right. So we are going today, now that we're through with March and marriage and ministry, today we're going to talk about what do you say intimacy is? What is intimacy to you?
Ooh.
All right, so we're going to get back on right after this. Stay.
All right, like we said, what is marriage and what is marriage? What is intimacy?
Intimacy to you.
in your
All
marriage.
right. So today we want some comments from you all, the audience, because our podcast on Wednesday was about what is intimacy to you. So we know that intimacy is a very large but vague word,
Yes.
right? So intimacy can mean a lot of things, and there's a lot of different levels
some people.
or a lot of different types
can-
of intimacy or aspects of intimacy. So if you guys could, as we said before, write in the comments. Send us a line and right now tell us what is intimacy to you so that we can read it. I know our podcast on Wednesday came out Wednesday, and Jason and I talked about what it is to me
And what it is to me.
him.
That's right.
And usually what's the difference between the male and female perspective of intimacy?
Either one can be correct. I mean, it's not a right or wrong. It's just how we view intimacy and what we're looking for in our marriage.
Or what is intimacy to you? So if, for example, like you said, it's not right or wrong, but we do want to know from the audience, what do you consider intimacy, and how could you improve the intimacy in your relationship? What is something that could be done to improve the intimacy in your relationship? So we really want to know. We want your feedback. So Jason and I talked about, I know for me, intimacy is more of a connection. It's more of us being connected. It's not necessarily the act of sex or different aspects or, different levels.
Right.
But for me, when I think of the word intimacy, I want us to be intimate and connected. I want us to be on a level that we're both going in the same direction. We both feel the love from each other, and we both know that we're loved, appreciated, and respected in our marriage. It's not just the act of sex.
Okay.
So if you guys could just, if you don't mind, comment what is intimacy to you, and how could intimacy be improved in your marriage? So give us a comment. I know that's might be a little, some people may not want to answer because it's more private.
Right.
But if you guys don't
You can
mind.
generalize it. I mean, you could just make a comment for a friend. It don't even have to be for you. It'd be for a friend.
Right. So then Jason and I told him, just the touching, the feeling, the
sex.
warm
Why
up,
you keep- why
the
you
warm
keep
up
missing
before
the
sex.
sex?
The warm up.
You keep
before
missing that
sex.
part. That's
So I say for women, I know we like to have, we like to get things started before we get in the bedroom, right? So I can't just go straight to the bedroom and just, like I told him, you're already at 8. I'm probably at a 2 or 3, depending on how my day went. I need to get up to an 8 before we just jump into the act of sex, right? And lots of times we don't have foreplay. Men just, especially after years and years of marriage,
Right.
or or you're tired. Men have a tendency of forgetting.
Why do you always say you're tired? That's the first thing you guys
No,
always go to. Oh, not
Because
you.
we probably are tired.
We're tired too.
Well, so men forget that foreplay is an important part of the intimacy in a relationship.
Right.
Right? Foreplay is important to sex. not
Right.
just to intimacy, to,
You're
to
right.
sex in a whole.
Right.
So, and that foreplay is different for different people. So when you talk about intimacy, Jason, what do you think? What is intimacy to you? Have we gotten any comments?
That's it.
All right. So, guys, type right in and let me know, what is intimacy to you? How can you improve the intimacy in your relationship? Where is it lacking? And where is the misconception that intimacy is just sex? So for women, I need for women and I need for men to tell me, what is intimacy to you? Because we know that men and women think differently. So we want to hear from you, what is intimacy to you? So, Jason, what is intimacy to you?
Sex. Mainly. But secondarily.
Secondarily sex?
Yeah. It's sex. No, actually, it's spending time. Quality time together. I find that intimate. Like if we sit down and we watch a movie together, I consider that a form of intimacy.
I know you said you like to be touched. In our podcast on Wednesday,
Oh,
that came out
yeah.
Wednesday,
Well, I
you
do
said
like
you like to be touched.
Yes.
But when you get touched,
Oh, yeah.
then
Yeah.
you want sex.
Yes.
See, I can be touched and not need sex.
I know, and I can't get with that. I don't understand that. I don't know how how you guys could just hold off like that. But I can't. I'm sorry. If you start rubbing on me and you being all affectionate and stuff.
Yes, that means I love you. That means I want to connect.
And I'm going to show you how I love you, baby. I am. I mean, that's just where I'm going to go with it. I'm just saying.
So why is it that men, when you think of intimacy, men immediately say sex, and when you think of intimacy with women, we say it's the touch.
Everything else except for that. Right.
No, it's that too.
Yeah, but
right?
that
Women,
gets to that last. I mean, by the time you finally get to it, right? But you got this, and this. Oh yeah, by the way, and then sex.
Well, that's because women are very complex. We
Right.
we are multitaskers,
I got you.
right? So we have to be able to multitask, and when we're doing that, we have to make sure that we're putting this down and that we're elevating the other things, because otherwise our plate is equally balanced with taking care of the kids, taking care of the house, taking care of work, taking care of the husband, taking care of finances, blah, 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 blah. And so we look for ways to become intimate.
Right.
And we look for you to show us that our intimacy is still there.
Right.
So without that, we don't necessarily feel loved. We miss being touched, being caressed,
you guys want to be romanced, in a sense.
Romance is something different.
See, there it is.
See, guys, we have to teach.
I'm trying to find out what it is that you're really looking for, and then that way I can actually give it to you. So it's not really romance, but it may be romance.
It's part of romance.
Part of romance.
Part of romance.
Right.
So today, as we said before, guys, we're going back to our regular scheduled time, which is about 15 minutes. And if you haven't seen or heard this week's podcast, it came out Wednesday, and it was called "What is Intimacy to You?" And I think it's worth listening to, because sometimes we are we're off key with our husbands, right? With our mates, understanding what intimacy is to us.
Yep, that's episode number 96.
96. So listen to that and be able to understand that the perspective of intimacy is different, and that there's different levels of intimacy. But we also have to make sure that we're having the conversation of what we're lacking, because sometimes if intimacy is missing in our relationship,
Yes.
then sometimes we feel as though we're not loved or appreciated.
Right.
Right.
And it goes both ways. I mean, men feel the same thing.
Even if it's not having sex,
Right,
right?
that's
If
true.
we're not
Right.
having sex, you take that as a form of we're not being intimate.
That's
Which
true.
means that, okay, something's wrong.
Right.
Either she's looking elsewhere, or something is
Right. You're just not into me.
right.
Yeah. You
Right.
don't find me affectionate, or you
Right.
don't find me.
So and just being able to understand the different perspectives of intimacy, right? Women want to make sure that if we're doing things, we like to be reminded, we like to be touched, we like to come up, we like for you to hug, squeeze us, kiss us, during the romance part, as you said, or during the foreplay before sex. Our intimacy starts outside. Our sex and intimacy starts outside of the bedroom.
All right. Well,
We
fellas,
can't wait.
remember that. It's
Right.
outside the bed. Okay.
It's outside the bedroom.
And
It's
I know
the
we've
things-
been
it's the
reminded of
things
that
you-
before.
And I know we talked about, right? So if you and I, as one of our snippets, if you and I are not getting along throughout the day, and we're arguing, we're having disagreements about something, right?
Right.
And then men want, at the end of the day, they want you to jump into bed
And forget all about that.
and
'cause-
forget all about
right,
that.
One incident don't have anything to do with the other.
And so they don't understand
Right.
how women are, how come you
Y'all
can't.
holding on to stuff.
It's not about holding on. It's about, like I said, you're
Let it
going
go.
from No, it's not letting go. It's
okay, so
being
you're not holding
able
on,
to
but you
move.
can't let it go.
It's being able to go from level 2 to level 8. It's meeting you at level 8. You guys, when you think of sex or whatever turns you on,
Right.
as we talked about, men are visual creatures.
Right.
So if something visually turns you on, or whatever, and now you're at 8, you
Right.
expect us to be at 8, but that's not how women operate.
I understand.
So,
that.
and as we talked about,
So
you
now I
have
got
to
to
be,
work to get you to 8.
and
Right.
you have to be able to do the same things that we did before we got married, right? When you get married, sex is a big part of your relationship in the beginning. You have a lot of sex. It's because there's a lot of love there. You're feeling excited. You're feeling connected. You're feeling loved. So a lot of sex is going on. But as time goes on, we forget about doing those things that make our mate feel loved and intimate.
Right.
Right? So that's why we have to remember that part of intimacy is doing the same things you did in the beginning. Showing the love, showing the affection, showing the appreciation. So again, I asked you right there. And so a friend of mine, Lanice, shout out to Lanice, she told me to get my glasses. So we got can you read that?
Probably.
All right. So let's see.
Intimacy to me is that close connection. Yes, that's what Tina says.
I feel when we are spending time in a peaceful, intimate atmosphere.
Exactly, like watching a movie together or something like
So
that.
now if you're married, ask your mate, what is intimacy to them? Because a man's perspective and a woman's perspective is totally different. And we have to remember that we have to be, if we, as women, right, and as men,
Yes.
if you want intimacy,
Yep.
you have to know what the other person needs.
Exactly. And I need to come to you and find out exactly what you need, so when we go to get intimate, we can have a joyous occasion when we get together.
And as
so
we
that's the problem. Like, I'm thinking like, well, I'm ready. Then you should
Right,
be ready.
right.
And then I get upset when you don't deliver the way that I want it to be, or what I have
or
dreamed up in my head.
I'm not right. So like I said, so we talked about, so I'm pissed off, I'm mad, I'm upset from the things that's gone out during the day, and then we get in the bedroom and now he wants to touch on me, but my level of intimacy is not there. My love tank is not full, because I feel as though now women, and I'm speaking from a woman's perspective.
Good, I'm glad you are, because I'm speaking for the men.
Right. So women feel as though we're being used, right? That it's so much. How do we continue to want to have sex and still feel loved where it's lacking in that area?
I mean, if I've already expressed how much I love you and I show you how much I love you, I feel like you should kind of understand that in a sense. Hey, look, I love you. I care about you. And I may get turned on a lot easier than you, but that doesn't mean I'm taking you for granted. I still love you.
We feel as though
but I'm saying
we need that connection. Women need the touching, the
Yes.
feeling. We are feeling creatures, right? So we need that connection with our mate in order for sex for us to get from 2 to 8. So Nancy made another comment.
She sure did. What Nancy talking about? Hey, Nancy, how are you?
It involves the feeling I get when we are connecting all day long, definitely before the bedroom. So did you ask your mate, Nancy, what is their perspective? If it's a male, what is his perspective, of what is intimacy? So I know people don't like to talk about intimacy outside of their home.
I get it.
Right,
Yeah.
because they feel like
intimate means different things to different people.
it really does.
Right.
And that's what we have to understand. It just because men think intimacy is sex,
Right.
why can't we talk about sex?
Right.
Why can't we talk about the sex that we're having, or the more sex that we want, or why we're not connecting and what we can do to get it back? Because intimacy is the first level of connecting back together, being happy, getting back on that I feel loved and appreciated, and I'm happy in my marriage.
Come on now, preach. Hey, Cynthia. Hey, thanks for joining. We really appreciate it. Yep. Intimacy. Yeah, equals intimacy. Yep, intimacy. For sure.
You see me and I know what I need. And so you see me and know what I need and want. Exactly.
Exactly.
But
that's
if
something that we have to learn as men. I mean, we
not just
understand
men,
that.
but men and women, because
I think men are
if we-
easier creatures because.
but they forget.
Well,
They
I
forget,
understand
right?
that.
And
right.
so how do you remind your mate what you need? How do you remind your mate what's missing in your relationship when it comes to intimacy?
Without hurting their feelings. That's the problem. Because if I say, well, you know what, this is really not getting it for me.
We're not getting it. But if I came to you and I said, you know what, Jason, I feel as though we're not as connected, and I need for you to do this, this, and this.
Okay, now if you give me instructions, and I'm just being honest, if you give me instructions, then I can follow it and I can get along, right? But if you say I'm not getting it, but I don't really know what it is that I want, now I'm confused. Cause
no, we know what we want.
Okay,
women, we know what we want. Women, don't we know what we want? Right? She said, "Into me."
I'm definitely into
see me.
Right. That's why I'm touching you. I'm into you. I'm showing you that.
Yeah, but when we touch, I don't always want it to end up as sex.
Oh.
You're so
Well,
crazy.
So
what did Cynthia say? What was those comments?
100. Come on, Cynthia. Really? Yeah, she right. She said 100.
Right. So, and so this is it. If you're touching me,
Yep.
and you're making me feel loved, even if I'm cooking or washing the dishes or just whatever I'm doing, if I'm working and you come behind me and rub my shoulders, and just that touch is preparing me for the bedroom. So if men can understand.
We can't go right there.
No, we cannot go straight to the bedroom. So we have to, not only do we have to continue the touching, because touch, remember.
It's an important part, yes. I understand.
One of our things say touch is an important part of a relationship and definitely an important part of marriage. But without the touch, and then without the communication that we're not getting it, how are we communicating to each other that the intimacy is dying down? Because the first thing that happens is that we don't touch each other.
Yep.
Right? So we're so busy throughout our day with whatever all the things we have to do, that when we get home, men just want to jump into bed and women just want to feel appreciated and connected. How do we connect and get back to knowing what it is our mate needs without being, like you said, hurting each other's feelings?
Exactly.
Right? Because the first thing that goes is say, well, we stop touching each other. Then we stop kissing each other. Then we stop really communicating what it is our needs were. Then we stopped having sex. Now the spark is gone. How did it get there?
Right.
Well, we look back along the road, what happened, and if we really are intentional about our relationships and we're really intentional about the things that we want in our marriage, we have to hold up our end of the bargain. So I have to be able to tell him, baby, look, right now I'm not feeling appreciated.
Right.
And maybe
I
it's
have to
maybe
be
it's
able
me.
to receive that.
Right. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm too involved in my work, or maybe you're too involved in your work, and we're not connecting the way we used to. But we have to have these conversations. We can't sit back and be moping about the fact that we don't feel appreciated. We're not feeling connected. We don't have what we used to have. We don't have the spark. We have to continue to communicate to each other what's missing. So when if I pull back with sex, you or men have to be able to talk to your mate and say, what is really going on?
Right.
So
Nope.
Okay.
So right. That's it. Is what's really going on.
Right. So we need to be able to
now
have
I can
the
understand you can have a demanding job and you tired all day and all this other stuff, and days will go by or whatever, and you don't feel intimate.
Right.
You have to find a way to still become intimate.
And the longer we don't have sex, and the longer we don't touch, and the longer we don't communicate, then the more chances of us disconnecting and the marriage losing the thing that we had.
We'll become roommates.
We become roommates. We grow apart, and then we're not understanding where we lost it and how to get it back.
Right. The longer you stay away from being intimate, it's harder to get it back.
Right. So,
and then it starts to affect other areas in your marriage.
So again, like I said, today we're only going to do 15 minutes, and we'll be back next Friday with more. But these are some things that I want you to do. I want us to pay attention to the things in our relationship. Let's look at the flags. Are we connected? Are we touching? Do we touch on a regular basis, even if it's sex or not sex? Am I touching?
Are we kissing enough?
Are we kissing enough? And it doesn't have to be long kisses, but those work. But just a kiss. Am I kissing my mate? Are we touching? Am I touching him when he's sitting next to me? Am I reaching over and touching him? Am I touching him in the car? Is he touching me? And are we showing signs of affection other than sex? So men, you have to remember that women their sex starts outside of the bedroom.
So we got a lot of work to do.
So, and as women, we have to understand the men are inside the bedroom, so we have a lot of work to do. And so part of the work in marriage is making sure that we're speaking each other's love language, but we're also paying attention to what our spouse needs and our needs, right?
And that's what we have to become better at. Understanding your needs, understanding how you need to be loved and shown affection. That's on us, right? Because for one, men, you already know that they don't get there as fast as we do, right? They're not ready.
We don't elevate as quickly. Our elevator takes a little slow.
Oh yeah.
We stop at every floor where you guys just go
straight to the
up.
top. Right, that's what we do. Right, which is fine.
Right.
I mean, but
and as women,
once
we
you
have to understand that. Right.
That's fine.
Right.
It's not. None of this is either bad or wrong or anything like that. We're just saying that you need to understand the situation.
You have to be able to communicate.
Right.
And what we also, as I said, sex is not a tool that we withhold when we feel like we're not being loved. Because
can you say that again?
Yes, sex is not a weapon
right.
that we withhold when we feel as though
we're
being deprived. Right. We're not getting.
We're not weaponizing it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because the more you withhold something that you think is, a weapon, how can I get more love of more of what I want if I'm not giving what they want? It's like a vicious cycle. I'm going to keep it from you. Then he says, well, I'm not giving it to you. So nobody gets what they want, and that's not really what we want. Most of the time in marriages, we're trying to express to our mate that all we want to be is loved. Everybody wants to feel respected. Everyone wants to feel loved. Everybody wants to feel needed. We want to feel that connection.
Yep.
And part of that is understanding how to communicate our needs to our mate and not assuming they know, but making sure that they know.
And that's the problem. I mean, we obviously can't assume, but it's like, yeah, you know what, I'm on, I'm ready to go, so she should be ready to go, and we have to get beyond that.
Right. So what did Cynthia say? Truth. Don't hold out. Exactly.
Right.
Because we get into this vicious cycle of thinking that we have something that I'm not giving it to you because you're not giving me what I need. Well, how can he give you what you need if you're not giving him what he needs? We all need something different.
Right.
But if I'm not showing you love, how can I expect you to give me back love? I know a lot of our podcast says, well, what do you want in a relationship? Well, I want love. How can you want love if you're not expressing love? If you're not giving more love and being more loving, how can you expect to receive something that you yourself are not being or giving? Right? So it's not a weapon, but sex is meant in marriage, because then if you're having it outside of marriage, then that's a whole new ballgame, right?
Right.
The whole purpose of getting married is to have someone to have sex with.
There you go.
Legally, right?
There you go.
God created sex for pleasure, for recreation, for a lot of things. Right. Why are we weaponizing sex as something that I'm going to withhold from my mate when I know that in order for him to feel loved, this may be something that he needs? And if I'm being able to communicate our needs to each other.
Right, but I think the problem comes in that if you don't feel like it and you do,
if you don't feel like
having sex or being intimate with them, and you do
you do have sex,
right, and then you need to express that, like, hey, look, you know what, we the last few times has been like, blah, and I wasn't really getting anything out of it, but let's talk about how I can, get something out of the whole situation.
And guys,
because you know what, everyone likes to be physical. So let's just say, you get married, you want to be with someone, and that's part of being married. Is to be intimate with them, and in a sexual way. So if you're not getting anything out of it, then you need to say that. You need to express that. Okay, I need to make this enjoyable for both of us, because I'm going to tell you, it's a difference when both of you guys are in it than when only one person is really into it.
That is
exactly. So
exactly.
Even if you still, as a male, if you still getting what you think you want, and only you're into it,
right,
it's still not as enjoyable as when both of you guys are into it. It's off the chart when both of you guys are into it.
And we have to realize that the bedroom is our sacred place, right? Nobody knows what goes on in your bedroom, but don't be afraid to venture out, find new ways. I know we had a sex therapist on. You can go back and listen to the podcast. I have no idea what the episode number is.
Why do you always do
right.
that? Yeah.
So, but we're also going to have a couple on that started selling sex toys.
Yep.
If you want more, you have to be able to try something different. And if something that your mate or you makes you uncomfortable, either way, this is something we have to be able to talk about and communicate. But we have to make sure that we're keeping the intimacy in our marriage. And whatever that means to you, and I asked for those who came in later, I asked to write, can you tell me in your own words, what is intimacy to you? What does intimacy mean? And then after you give me your definition, ask your mate or your spouse, what is intimacy to them?
Right.
So that we can get a better and clearer understanding of where maybe the miscommunication is coming. And be able to express that to your mate. Because if I'm feeling a little, like Jason's lacking and I'm not feeling real loved or appreciated, then I have to be able to come to him and say, you know what, look, something is off. I'm not feeling, really loved or appreciated, and our intimacy isn't there. You're not touching me as much. I'm not touching you as much. And now I can see how it has gone into our communication. We're not really talking as much. And then our sex has lingered. There's a lot of gaps in between it, and it's not as fulfilling.
Right.
So one thing leads to another. It's like a domino effect. And these are the red flags that we have to be aware of in marriages. So we're talking about making marriages better. How do we sustain good marriages? This is how, being able to understand, to spot when intimacy is breaking down. Why is it breaking down? What's going on? Let's talk about it.
Right.
And let's continue to connect on a deeper level. And sex would be all so much better when we're connecting and when we're both feeling fulfilled.
Right. Now, if you're having problems in the bedroom or you're not being as intimate as you want, the problem is outside the bedroom, like Tina has always been, what she's been saying. So if you never address that, then you can't address the intimacy part, because you have to first fix that. Because really, if you guys are not really clicking on all cylinders outside of bed,
or maybe
it's not
a
all
man
that great.
Or maybe a man really doesn't know. Sometimes your mate doesn't know what you need.
I can tell you,
and
like
even
for
if
men,
you tell him, like on the podcast we talked about, you may tell him, I may tell Jason, and then a couple of times later he may forget. And it's not that he forgets, it's that he's thinking, okay,
I took care of that. She
I
said
took
that she
care of
wanted me that, and I did it, and then
so
that's it.
we have to express to men, this is something that we always need. I don't need you to touch me just on Monday, and then you touched me on Monday, and now you don't feel like you have to touch me anymore because you fulfilled your quota. There is no quota. Women want to be intimate. We want to be touched. We want to be rubbed. We want to be close. We want to feel, as Nancy said, an intimate atmosphere where you and I are connecting on a deeper level, so that when we go into the bedroom, it's no question about whether or not we're having sex.
Okay. All
Right? So this is, and so men, you have to understand, it's not something that you just do one time.
Right.
Oh, I'm going to touch her today, and hopefully that's my quota.
Right, because if you tell me you want me to touch you more, I touch you here and there and be like, okay, can we go have sex now?
Right.
And then that's not going to get it.
Right. So being able to communicate and understand what is intimacy to you, and does your mate understand what it means to you, and what is intimacy to your mate, and do you understand what intimacy means to them? So we have one more comment, and I think for today we're going to get out of here.
Annette, how are you? Intimacy is getting real close. Oh, I like that, real close. And understanding each other and not being afraid to say what you want and how you want it. So true. Being real with no judgment. And you should not have judgment.
You shouldn't have judgment.
You should be able to speak your mind in your relationship.
Let's get it on.
Let's
All right.
get it on.
Taking off the mask in and out of the bedroom.
There you
Absolutely.
go.
Absolutely.
If you want to get naked and get real, this is how you do it.
But
you
Annette,
actually have those conversations.
But again, I'm going to ask your mate, what is intimacy to them? Because when
you say intimacy, what does he feel?
So
So
tonight, let's have that conversation with our mate, right? Whether we're married or not. Ask your mate, when I say intimacy, what do you think about? What is intimacy to you? Just ask them. Ask them what is intimacy to them. But that's the biggest part of the gap.
Well, this is the thing. If it's a woman asking a man, let them know that it's not a loaded question, right? It's not a trick question, because that feels like a trick question. Well, what does intimacy mean to you? And if he answer it wrong, then he may not be in the ballpark of no intimacy for the next couple of days. That's not we're just asking just for entertainment purposes only, right? We just want to know. We just want to know.
So you telling the women to have a disclaimer? Say, I just want to know.
I just want to know. I'm not going to hold it against you, because I feel like if you ask me,
if I came and you said, Jason, what is intimacy to you?
Exactly.
You're gonna start thinking, what does she really want me to say?
Right.
But the thing
because I don't want to mess myself up now. If I say the wrong thing, I'll be in the doghouse, and I'm just saying I got to protect myself.
Is that how men think?
Yes.
That's how men
Yeah.
think. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Right.
But if we have the understanding
Mm-hmm.
that we're having a conversation, and it's a way to get to know each other,
Uh-huh.
right? So when I ask you a question, maybe the disclaimer should be, let's talk about it. Like I really want to know, in order for us to make sure that our intimacy is intact.
Right.
You know, I want to understand what is intimacy to you, and I want you to understand what is intimacy to me, so that we're on the same page.
Okay, but
So
let them know that there's no wrong answers. I'm just saying. That way you can be open and honest. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't want people to
You
feel
don't
like,
think you don't think husbands are open and honest when you ask those questions?
you know, it's just kind of like, how do I look in this dress? You look okay. I mean, you look fine in that dress.
Wait a minute. Wait. So when I ask you how do I look in this dress, you think that's a loaded question?
Sometimes.
So you be lying to me sometimes when I ask you how do I look in this dress?
No, because to me, you look fine in that dress.
Wait a minute. To you, I want to know how everybody else sees me.
Yep. It doesn't matter because I'm the most important person. So it doesn't really matter.
I'm the most important person because I got the dress on.
Yeah, but you're with me.
But I
So it's
still want to
perfect.
look nice.
Right. And you look nice to me.
All right. So
So
I
that's
look
what I
nice to
mean.
him.
Yep.
So going back to intimacy is that, as I said, the perspective of each person. For women, it's usually the connection. It means a deeper connection. It means we're connected and I feel loved. I feel appreciated. I feel warm,
Yep.
right? For women. For men, intimacy means something totally different.
Yeah, it may be touch, it may be spending time, but mainly it's sex.
So we have
Right.
to understand that, and we have to make sure that each one of us knows what is intimacy to the other person, and that our intimacy is not breaking down. Hey, Lanice, what's going on? I took your advice. I got my glasses this week. Look at there, but I could see you say, "Hey, family." So,
What's going on, Denise?
so Lanice, tell us real quick if you got a minute to type. What is intimacy to you? Come on, we're waiting for you to type something in. We've heard from other people because we're about to get off. And so we are back. I know for the month of March, we had ministers who talked for an hour.
Yeah.
Jason and I are not doing that. We had a podcast that came out Wednesday that talked about intimacy from different perspectives
Yep.
and what we need to do to make sure it is getting on. But, you know, let's look at the website. I mean, let's listen to the podcast.
Yep.
Episode number 96.
96. Yep.
What do you think intimacy is?
Right.
Lanice, did you tell us what is intimacy? Or did she run?
You said good
Good
job.
All right. So we have to have these conversations. We have to make sure we're touching,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
We're kissing.
Mhm.
Mwah. We're kissing,
Yep.
and we're having sex.
Right.
We're making sure we're connected outside of the bedroom and inside of the bedroom.
That's the most important part. And understand, find out what each other needs and give it to them. That's the most important part. Just don't go in for sex.
Lanice said, "I'm thinking." Lanice, you don't know what intimacy is to you? Okay. Let's see what Vanya says. All right. So, and I know it means different things to different people. That's the whole part of having this conversation.
Right.
Intimacy is how you look at me, how you touch me,
Yep.
reaching my innermost part,
There you go.
how you love me outside
Outside of-
the bedroom from another woman's perspective. Thank you,
Vanya.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Vanya.
we really appreciate that, Vanya. We really do.
Exactly.
Thanks for checking us out, too.
So again, but
And then she
these are
said,
things.
Hey, fam. Yep. Hey, how are you? Tell
let-
Tommy we said hello.
What is Annette? I think that's a new comment from Annette.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, do our mates know? Does our mate know what intimacy means to us?
Mm-hmm.
Because when we say intimacy is one of those buzzwords that means a lot of things to a lot of
different
people.
right.
But for a woman, intimacy means I'm connected.
Yep.
I know that you love me
And we
without
like
a
this
doubt.
sense of connection as well.
You do love connection, but you get connected through the sex.
physical act,
And there's
yes.
nothing wrong with that.
Right,
There's nothing
right.
wrong with that. But we have to be able to communicate to each other, what is intimacy and what does it mean? How do you need it? When do you know what I'm saying? When is it lacking? When do you not feel that we're intimate?
Because when you
So let's listen to Annette.
I'll say walking in the park holding hands, something that I love to do. I really enjoy that, and enjoying each other's company.
Yes.
That's-
Eating
it's
ice
all-
cream together. Even attending church together is intimacy. Absolutely. And that is so great because those are things that when Jason does those are all the things when he say, Tina, let's go get some ice cream. And then we go to the park and eat the ice cream and hold hands.
Yep.
And then it's not a frustration on me. I don't feel obligated. I don't feel used. I don't feel like I have to perform something I don't want to perform. This is he has fulfilled my love tank. He has given me intimacy. I feel closer to him. So therefore, at nighttime, if it's time, if he wants to have sex or if we want to have sex, if it turns that way, then for me it's something that I'm going to enjoy because I feel a connection outside of the bedroom, and that's what we're talking about.
Or just taking car rides.
Doing the things that you used to do before. So what does Will do? She said, "Thank you, Will do." Intimacy is a lot. What? Intimacy is down.
Okay, give it to me for a second.
Okay. Intimacy is a lot of things and different at different times.
And
exactly.
That's true. And that's what I was saying.
Lenise, but
that's what I was saying. Now, if this time you say, this is what intimacy means to me as far as a woman.
So you mean men are getting confused.
Right. And then we're getting confused because then we go, okay, we'll do what you ask, right? And
I know she needs to be touched.
Right. And I'll touch you and then you're like, that ain't working for me this time. Like, what do you mean this is not working for you this time? And it's okay to change up. I mean, like, you need to give us like, it's going to be 1, 2, or 3, so we can go down the numbers and
so I guess
give you what
intimacy
you
for
want.
Women is making sure that we feel
it's the right
loved.
thing at the right time.
Or it's that we feel loved, that we want anything that's going to make us feel connected with our mate. Mm-hmm. Okay, down. Angela, there was one at the bottom.
I know, I got this one before that.
No, you did.
No, I know.
Okay.
I didn't say I got that one, but that's one above that.
Okay. So,
okay, Angela.
My husband said sex.
From another man's perspective.
Intimacy to me is doing all the cooking, all the cleaning, and making all the money so I don't have to. Then you can have all my sex. So, exactly.
It's a trade-off. There you go, yes.
But I'm glad you asked your husband because to him it is sex. And for women it is something different. But if we don't express that to our mate and we don't ask him, most women know intimacy for a man is sex. Most women know. Right. And as I said
We're
before,
easy creatures.
But sex is not a weapon. It's not. Don't weaponize our Virginia. Our Virginia. Our vagina. Don't weaponize sex where you're gonna withhold it because you're not getting what you want in the relationship. Talk about it. Express the needs that are not being met in a very respectful sit down conversation. Let's talk.
And you should be able to do that.
What does it say?
Lenise said, and for me, it's conversation. Now, conversation can be quite heated and quite a turn on for sure, right? You can get into some real deep, intimate conversations that really set the mood.
All right, so let's get on out of here. Cynthia is laughing because Angela said her husband said it is sex. Sex.
If you do a query, you'll find out that majority of the time it's going to be sex for men,
so
which
I
is
know,
not wrong.
So let's start having conversations, guys, with our mate. Let's stop letting life happen and let's make the life we want happen the way we want. So let's start having those conversations. Let's start with intimacy. If you're not touching, so I said this Friday for the rest of this weekend to next Friday we talk to you guys.
We're going to be touching?
We're going to be touching. Let's do more touching. Let's do more talking. Let's connect on a deeper level. I would like to ask how many times,
but I'm not going to even do that. I'm not going to put it in. I ain't going to put that out there.
That's right. Absolutely. Yep. So next Friday, when we come again, I want to know how much of you guys are touching more and how it helped to strengthen or deepen the connection.
Well, next week we got the Smiths on, so that should be interesting.
All right. So next week we'll have the Smiths on. And do the Smiths do what? The sex toys?
No.
Oh.
No, we're just going to interview. We're going to have an interview with the sex toy. They started a sex toy company, and that's going to be an interesting conversation. Can't wait till that episode come out. No, next week is the couple that got married in 28 days.
Oh, okay. The Smiths. Okay.
Yes.
So next week for next Friday, next week podcast, we have Mr. and Mrs. Smith that met each other, were waiting, got married in 28, 29 days, and have been happily married
for 7 years.
Exactly.
Yep.
So let's be back for next week's podcast. But for this week, what did you say? I'm sure Tommy would say the same. Sex and more sex. So if we know what it is,
right?
What sex is a great thing
for both of us.
What does it say? That's hot. That's hot. I love sex toys. Exactly. And that's what I said. Let's start. If your intimacy is not there, women. And so therefore you're not having as much sex as your husband would like, or the intimacy for him is not there. Let's do more touching. Let's do more exploring in the bedroom. Let's do more kissing. Let's do more talking. Let's get back that spark that we had in the beginning. Don't let it die out.
No.
When you see the flames going out, what can we do to do it? What do you call that when you do a fire?
Oh, you prod the fire?
Prod it or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Stir.
what?
No, I can't think of it. I got a fireplace and I can't remember.
Right. That's why I asked you.
Yep.
So let's start doing things that's going to take our relationship back to that next level.
Yep. The
Yes.
interview's coming up. So I think they're going to be on probably a Friday at the end of April.
And
But
guys, if
I'm
you're not
interested.
using
Very
sex toys in your bedroom, then let's start trying them out. Let's start doing something different. Let's start exploring. Let's let loose. Nobody knows what goes on in your bedroom. Sometimes you're holding on that freak inside. Let it out. Let the freak out, guys.
But you know what's it's gonna be interesting because on the podcast they're just gonna talk about the toys. But on Friday night they're gonna, not this Friday, but the Friday when they come on, they're gonna actually bring the toys and they're gonna demonstrate them and stuff. So that should be something.
So
Oh,
blow it on.
Annette,
All right.
I need lessons.
All right.
She
Now,
said-
tell me, you don't
she
need no
said-
lessons. Hurry up with the episode. All right. So,
right.
guys, I think that shows it for us. And remember, marriages are built. They just don't happen.
That's right.
All right, guys. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And this week, don't forget your homework. Ask your husband what is what is intimacy to them. Let's have the communication.
And let's have a conversation about
let's
that.
touch. Let's touch.
Oh yeah, let's touch.
Let's have more sex.
And no, if
Let's
you're
get some
touching for
more
men,
toys.
it may lead to something if you're gonna be touching your man.
So
your man.
just try it. Just go and rub on your husband tonight, ladies, and see what he thinks. You know, he probably gonna say, "What the heck's wrong with you?"
Right. You feeling okay? Yep.
Got my wine ready. All right. Thank you, Cynthia and Nat. You guys have a great weekend. Mwah. Love you.
All right, you guys have a good one. We'll see you next week.
Touch.
Don't forget to touch.